Greetings, travelers. Welcome to Planet Buster. Initiating interstellar in-flight sequence. Powering navigation systems. Broadcast signal established. Thrusters at full momentum. Preparing for Planet Buster's launch in 3, 2, 1.
A long time ago, on a couch far, far away.
From what?
A parody. It's a fucking parody of Star Wars. Today we're talking about Star Wars, god damn it.
So Sarah's on the podcast. Sarah is the other third of Planet Buster. She is also our social media manager, person handling all of our website stuff.
I would love to point out that in Sarah's first act on the fucking Planet Buster podcast, it was screwing up your joke. Like, the first act was to undercut your joke. That's how you know we're real.
So, as my really bad attempt at a joke was trying to imply, today we're going to be talking about Star Wars.
Yeah, more specifically, Rogue One, which it might seem a little bit late, but we're actually looking forward to the DVD Blu-ray release, and we wanted to, go back on it, because I know that we had different opinions.
So, it's been a while for me since I've probably seen the movie, but I remember, the first time I saw it, I didn't hate it. I wasn't in love with it. It was one of those movies where the more I thought about it afterward, the more I just started seeing problems with it, and the more I'm like, I didn't really enjoy it as much as I thought I did.
So, can I just say that what you just said, your description, was my relationship with The Force Awakens. Where I really wanted to like it, and I did. But once I started to sit down and really analyze it and see what was happening, that it really was just taking the plot and a lot of the story from A New Hope and redoing it. And while I will still argue that it can be effective, because as I've talked to other people, just pointing out that, well, it's just really needed, it's just a tested way of telling this or story and a way of introducing characters, and then in episode 8, maybe it'll be a bit more original. I was talking to my dad about it, and he said, I'll give episode 8 a chance, but if they start off on a snow planet, I'm done.
It's called Not Hoth.
Not
Yeah.
Hoth. Hot.
Actually, it's not even that. It's not even that. It's just has the word Hoth just X'd out of it, a really hastily X'd out of it and say Snow World.
It's crossed out, or it's it's literally just the entire Hoth scene, but every time they go to say the planet's name, it's just someone else voices over.
Or it's a lava, a hotter planet.
Yeah.
And it's just see, this is completely different from Hoth, but everything else that happens is exactly
Not
the same.
Tatooine. Oh wait, that was also in the Force Awakens. Never mind.
That was also the Force Awakens.
Never mind.
But I know for myself, I'm kind of in the middle of you guys. I didn't hate it. In fact, I thought it was good. But I wasn't. I don't know. I'm not a huge Star Wars guy. I like it. I respect Star Wars. I like it more than let's say a Star Trek, which you thought you were gonna get punched in the face. I just dropped a bomb.
Just say you like The Next Generation, you'll recover.
I don't even know what that is.
Fuck, you're on your own. You're on your own on this
No,
one.
I know what The Next Generation is. I just never watched it before. But I enjoyed it, and I have a few things that I thought were kind of flawed that we're going to talk about, but it wasn't anything that I was, I don't know, heartbroken over.
Yeah.
See, I think that of the three of us, and brought this up to you, and maybe you and I, Dan, can talk more on this, but I think it's safe to say that I'm probably the biggest Star Wars fan here.
Yeah, that's easy to say.
Easily.
So I think that might be why I responded to it differently than you guys would have.
Yeah, I feel like it would have been the same thing if, like, you went with us to go see Power Rangers.
Right.
Like,
Right,
you would have been like, it's alright, I guess. And we'd be in theaters like, ah!
But when I saw this movie, it was, I feel a bit more... I don't know if it was because of the setting that I was watching it in, because I watched this at home for the first time, Rogue One.
Yep.
Whereas with The Force Awakens, it was in a movie theater, and I, just to be courteous to other people, I had to be a bit more subdued.
Right.
And I was certainly in my seat, like, shaking like a very excited child. Like, when I first saw the Millennium Falcon, I was like, ah! And just trying very hard to contain myself.
Dude,
and...
okay, so, like, she was holding my hand the entire time, and whenever, like, something big would happen, she would squeeze, like, it's like if you were going in, like, it's like a birth, and they're like, hold my hand, and if you need to let off some stress, go ahead and squeeze it, and halfway through, like, she's just like, hey! And I was like, ow, 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 ow!
Oh, yeah. It's having very much the opposite of contractions. Rogue One, I watched that at home with my dad and my sister. And of course, my dad, grew up with Star Wars, and he raised my sister and I with it. So we're just a family of huge Star Wars fans. And that very much affected, where it was only us talking, affected the viewing experience, because there were moments where I was like, especially the last maybe 3 minutes, I just spent hopping up and down on the couch like Tom Cruise in that Oprah interview, and he's talking about how much he loves Katie Holmes.
Yes.
And that was me going, oh my god, this is awesome! Ah, look at what's happening now! Oh my god, I can't believe they did this! And I was just like, flipping out. Needless to say.
Full Oprah. The
Yeah.
full Oprah. So, before we go into our discussion, spoiler alert, I guess, like, honestly, at this point, we have spoilers in every single one of our podcasts when we talk about movies, just because this isn't like a review podcast, or if it is, it's not like your traditional one where we're going to tell you if you want to go see the movie or not. It's more like this is the podcast equivalent of, like, whenever you go to a movie and then you talk about the movie with your friends after. That's pretty much what this is. And so, yeah, some things are going to get spoiled. But on top of that, guess what? It's coming out on Blu-ray. So, like...
Yeah, I mean, let's be faced. I'm pretty sure, like, it's no fucking spoiler at this point that, in case you don't want to know it, that everyone dies at the end.
Yeah, like...
I mean, it's been fucking published in, like, articles like, OMG, everyone died!
Yeah, like, the whole point of Rogue One is that it was a suicide mission. So, hey, we got that out of the way. We ripped the Band-Aid. It's over. Like...
Now let's try to pick at the scab and try and open the wound a little bit. So
I would like to say, too, that you hear the term suicide mission in movies where it's like, they have to go on a suicide mission, this is a suicide mission, but everyone lives at the end, so it's like, maybe there's a chance a couple people survive.
Suicide Squad only applied to, like, one person.
Yeah.
Or two. Two.
So going into it, I wasn't fully expecting everyone to die. And I think that's a good way to start this off.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that when Shane and I were talking about after I saw it, and I said to him, I was like, how did you not like this as much as I did? One of my arguments was that, about the character development, and that he felt that the characters were underdeveloped, and I agree. They definitely could have shown them more.
I'm kind of in the same camp as that one, too.
Yeah.
Just because, like... And I do understand where you're coming from, where it's like, oh, it is very rare for movies to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Where you have these main characters, you sum up, and then they're all fucking dead. And that's one of the things I do appreciate in the movie. In fact, if there's anything I can actually say I definitively did like about it, was definitely that whole third act.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
That was really exciting.
The strongest part of the whole movie.
That was exactly what I said, where the entire first act, so we watched it, because it was released on digital. My dad bought it on Amazon. And we paused at about the moment just after they showed up at the Imperial base, and Cassian had orders to kill Galen Erso, Jin's father, played by Mads Mikkelsen. I looked it up
She's got this victorious smile on her face because she looked that up like
2 seconds
How many,
ago.
how many times did we try to record that? Like one more?
I was like, how the fuck do you pronounce this guy's name?
Well,
Mads?
because it was a good point. Well, I know how to pronounce Mads Mikkelsen, but
Dan didn't.
I just thought it was a good.
Hey, let's bash on Dan some more.
I did think that
Yeah.
it brought up a good point though about how the characters weren't characters. It brought up a good point about how the characters weren't developed as much as any moviegoer is used to. Which I think goes to the argument against the way the characters were done, in that they aren't as memorable, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, we paused at about after the first act finished up to eat, and as we were eating, I was kind of like, oh, it's alright so far. So I think taking that break kind of helped, because then I
Right.
got back to it and watched the rest of the movie, and it was like, this is awesome. Like, from that point on, I was like, this is great. Like, this is going really good. So I think one of the things I had said when I was talking to Shane about it is that I thought that the characters were underdeveloped intentionally.
And I don't.
So here's my argument toward that, and I do have points against it, because I am a very thorough person and wrote out all my notes about how I feel about this.
And I'm just going to rant back at her, so
Yep.
we'll see how this goes. You guys are going to hear my girlfriend just get pissed off at me on air, and it's going to be wonderful.
So I thought it worked, and was done intentionally because, as we've mentioned, they all die at the end. So Star Wars characters are characters that you get very invested in and that you fall in love with and get all this merchandise out of them. Which certainly they did with these characters. And I'm not running out to buy a Jin or so pop. As much as I loved the movie, as much as I love collecting pop figures.
Maybe the robot one. He was the only one I actually thought was like,
K2SO?
yes,
Yeah.
I think he was the only character I actually liked because he kind of had something about him that kind of kept you interested in him.
I did consider that one, and but so I think that it was meant to be a standalone movie. All right, they all die at the end. There's not going to be a sequel. Whereas they use every other character in the Star Wars universe a lot, because those are the characters they can bank on. Like, they've time and time again, these are marketable characters. So you don't want to make these characters too marketable, and then be like, well, we can't really use them again. But I think it also helps because, at least how I felt was, I wasn't lamenting their loss when they die at the end, because their deaths, it was all a great sacrifice, and it was just very beautiful, powerful moments. So my feeling was that it was done with that intent, because you're not too upset, like, oh no, they died. Like, in The Force Awakens, as much as I saw it coming, and it was well done, it really was like, oh god, like, I enjoyed it, I appreciated the movie, but at the same time, I was like, but why did Han Solo have to die? And, I was a wreck, because he's my favorite Star Wars character, and I knew it was coming, but...
And I very much enjoyed Kylo Ren, so that was an awkward drive.
I've had trouble watching Force Awakens again, because it was just because I'm so invested in Han Solo as a character, whereas here I could be like, wow, that was a powerful moment, that was beautiful. So, to me, it worked. At first I was kind of like, well, I want to know more, but I know enough about the characters, even if I'm not remembering their names all the time. So yeah, these characters are a speck in the grand scheme of the Star Wars universe, from, just a tiny particle in this galaxy far, far away.
Right.
Whereas, your Princess Leia, your Luke Skywalker, and all these characters that we have seen time and time again that are always, popping up in any Star Wars merchandise. All right, the characters.
Any and all Star Wars merchandise.
Right.
That one in The Force Awakens who was supposed to get a toy, like he had a toy, but I don't know what the fuck his name is. The character was. He was like some lizard guy. He had a toy, and they were like, "Oh, he's gonna be in the movie." He doesn't even show up in the movie.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
Exactly. Or better yet, Captain Phasma, the new Boba Fett of this generation.
The Boba Fett of the new
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They have these characters that they set and is like, these are the big players in the story.
Right.
Right.
The characters in this movie were all very reluctant to do and take their part. Mads Mikkelsen's character, Galen, he was forced against his will, was a former, member of the Empire, former Empire employee, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Not the carpeting company, obviously.
Wow, that is a regional joke that like maybe 10 people will get. If we ever get 10 people to listen to our podcast.
I got it.
I said it and I just realized how it sounded.
Wow. Holy shit. Got a donut dip joke to like drop on these people.
It's donut dip.
Exactly.
Getting even more regional. Sip and dip? Anyway. So yeah, Galen Erso was working for the Empire, and then he was like, I'm out, I'm gonna go start a family, stepped away. And then he's forced against his will to come back. So he is the architect of the Death Star.
Yeah,
right.
like he forcibly gets turned to like run the Death Star and all that stuff.
So he puts the weak point in.
Hmm.
The weak spot. But
And I
again,
think
he
that's
was...
and that is actually like an interesting way to develop that character. Like the maker of the Death Star was forced against his will to do it.
Right.
And all these kind of things. And he got dragged out, and the Empire like basically killed his wife, and his daughter got taken away by Forrest Whitaker to do some stuff. They don't really say what it is.
Yeah.
All we know is that Forrest Whitaker shows up again. He has some guy get tortured by a hentai monster, and
I will get back to that in a moment. But everyone's forced against their will to be where they are. Jin doesn't really want to be part of it. She kind of joins up because she wants to find her father, and then she realizes that her father was doing this. He was trying to do right by his family, because he knew she was out there somewhere. So she just gets involved because of that, and I feel like it's not fully explained, but everyone is just there by chance. Maybe it's the will of the Force. Who knows? That's an entire different discussion for another day. But they're just not as important players, you can tell. So, that, and just to further support the idea that they're a small part of the big picture, is the fact that the entire idea for this movie, the story, all came out of a single line from the scroller for A New Hope.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I can definitely see that point, but I'd argue in the sense of like they are like the smaller parts, but that doesn't mean they can't really be interesting. Because like at the same time, it's a movie, it's characters. If I don't really give a shit about these characters after a while, or I'm not really enthusiastic about them, I'm like, oh man, that guy. I'm not really gonna give a shit when they die.
Yeah, that was my thing with, like, especially, like, we brought up K2SO being...
Yeah, I cared when he died.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I didn't even care when he died. One, because he's a droid, and he doesn't die. You could take
Well, I cared because he was the best thing in the movie, so like...
Oh, right. But then my other thing is, like, why is K2SO our favorite? And it's because he made a couple, like snide remarks, or he,
there's like
was witty. That's not really a defining character. That's just, like...
I think they were trying to avoid making the typical droid, but at the same time, they ended up doing so.
Oh, I know what they were going for. Like, it's a good point. It's just,
know.
like, these are characters, like, with a droid having only a couple dimensions makes absolute perfect sense to me. Because, they're programmed. It doesn't make sense that they have, like, hopes and dreams and, like,
crap like that. You could go into that, but it's not that important. Like, even some of the most popular droids, like, I would think, what's that droid from Knights of the Old Republic?
Oh god, I have no idea.
HK-74.
Yes,
HK-74.
yes.
His thing, he didn't like humans or like organic creatures, and he hunted Jedi. That's what he did.
Yeah.
And he was awesome. He's one of the most beloved like characters really in the extended like verse.
Yeah, and aren't you forced to, like, take him down eventually in the game? Like, if you
I
go
think so.
light side? Yeah. And, like, that part fucked me up. So I'm like, I like you, but I have to kill you.
Yeah, and I think at that, I would argue that death has some emotional charge to it, but probably because you're the one that's forced to do it. So it's like, it's a teammate. Whereas in this one, like, let's take the character Chirrut, the one who's like not a Jedi, but he's like,
He was my favorite.
yeah, he's awesome. But when he died, I was upset. Not because I liked the character, but because I like Donnie Yen. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, Ip Man's down! No!
Oh, this is bullshit. Ip Man wouldn't die like that.
Yeah, no, Donnie in real life, like Ip Man would have just like hulked up and just quietly punched the fuck out of everyone.
Also, this movie is very non-authentic because stormtroopers actually shoot people.
Yeah, they actually hit people.
So that was another problem. Like, they're actually shooting people. What is this shit? This isn't Star Wars. Everyone knows that a stormtrooper misses every shot. Come on.
Well, you know what? That actually explains why. That explains why there are no stormtroopers that actually hit everyone, because all of them were killed in that Death Star blast.
There you go. So they all died in that one spot.
But see, where you're talking about, like, these emotional ties to these deaths, not so much with Chirrut, but, again, with other characters in the Star Wars universe. So I just thought that they were trying to avoid it being too emotional, and that you could enjoy it as part of the story.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, they also kind of want to get an emotionalistic because, like, at the end, we're, like, sitting on the beach and, like, the planet's about to explode. Like, they're basically meant to be, like, feel something. These characters are dying and, like, play the sad music because when, who's the guy with the, like, the red, like, jetpack and the gun and stuff like that?
Baz.
Baz, yeah, when he, like, starts going apeshit because, like, he lost Donnie Yen and he's like, fuck everything, I'm done, everything's gonna die, I don't care, I don't have anything to live for. I'm supposed to be, like, in that moment, it's like, yeah, I feel for you. At the same time, like,
I didn't give two fucks about it.
yeah, like, and they play
Yeah.
the sad music and I'm like,
He
What-
was one...
What did you call him, babe?
I called him an intergalactic Ghostbuster. That's what he looked like.
With his
And
Luigi's Mansion backpack.
Yeah. No, he was definitely one where I was like, why are you here? Or Bodhi, the pilot, where he was just went, I'm the pilot. I'm the pilot.
and
like-
I'm the French guy. And maybe the love interest, maybe not, I don't know.
Maybe?
Maybe?
Thought he was Spanish.
I think he was Spanish, too.
Was he?
Yeah.
He was in French.
Because,
Well, I
Yeah.
feel like a dick on this podcast.
Yeah,
Well,
congratulations. Now
to
you
me-
just offended two races.
I mean, to me, I was just like, oh, his name's Cassian, and he sounds like Prince Caspian. Because in the first, well, of the two movies, never mind, going into Narnia, and that's a totally different topic.
Oh,
But
God.
that was my connection. 'Cause
Don't-
he sounded exactly like Ben Barnes does in Prince Caspian.
He does, actually.
Like, that was just my immediate thought. I was like, oh, and his name is Cassian. That's convenient. So anyway, no, there are definitely certain characters where I was like, why are you here again? What is your purpose? What's your name? And he was one, but I thought that scene on the beach, to me, it was a lot more, because I think the one thing we can all agree on here, I know I've talked to you about this,
Yep.
and Dan, I hope you can agree, that the cinematography
Oh yeah,
was
most
stunning.
definitely. Like that's one of the bigger strengths of like Gareth Edwards as like a director.
Right.
Like he also did the 2000. He also not the two. I was about to say like the 2000 reboot of Godzilla. That's a completely different movie. I mean like the current one with Aaron Taylor Johnson and
Right.
Bryan Cranston
For a
who's
cup
only-
of coffee.
For a couple minutes, yeah, yeah, and. The same problems that I had with that movie, I saw in this one, where it's like I saw one or two characters in that movie where I'm like, yeah, I'm invested,
Yeah.
and then they're gone, and then
never
I'm
saw
stuck with
that
characters that are just there to move the plot around, and they're not horrible, they're not like badly acted, but they're just standard like we need to get here to here,
Yeah.
and that's good, but I kind of need something more, and
Yeah.
if that's not the case, then I'm like, okay, if I'm not invested into that, then just give me some action or give me the stuff that I want to come here.
Yeah.
For. Because like in that movie that was Godzilla, and of course they cock teased that all the way until the end, and you know, ironically, that was my favorite part of the movie was the ending. And the same thing kind of happened here. Where it's like cock teasing. Vader shows up, fucks everything, everybody dies. Best part of the movie, and I'm like,
Dude,
this is a character
I jumped up out of my chair during that last Vader scene, like I was at a fucking football game and my team just scored. I'm just like, ah! Ah!
That was how I felt through a lot of the movie, was especially that end. But I just thought that scene on the beach, to me, the emotion was from the visual aspect of it, of watching the world. Just,
like I think, I like it's what you said. I think the visuals do a good way of conveying it, but I think the weakness is in the writing of it.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah,
visuals can only get you so far when like you want to care about something, but because like no one's really like a bad performer in this movie. Really, I never really had a problem with anything, but at the same time, part of me is like, why do I really care about this person? I'm just kind of like at the end. By the end, I was just like sitting here being like, "Oh, that's a cool Vader cameo. I wonder if I'm going to see him again," or you know, where the movie just turns into Battlefront for like a good 30, 40 minutes.
See, I think to me, it was well written, published, marketable fan fiction.
Yeah, you know what, that
I mean,
makes
it's
sense.
better. It's better fan fiction than the prequels were, but then again, like. My argument is also like anything is kind of better than those three films
Well,
like
exactly.
those fail on just like basics of filmmaking.
Because I think
They could have talked about like the political aspect of a rebellion and like how are we going to go against them? Are we going to be able to have a place in our council when we get back or something?
Yeah,
No, they were like, no, fuck that shit.
No,
We're
I
just
mean,
going to go
have-
shoot stuff.
was there Jar Jar Binks? No, all right.
No, but there was creepy General Tarkin.
Oh, we'll get to that
Creepy
shortly.
Tarkin,
okay,
creepy Carrie Fisher.
Well, I just wanted to add one more point.
Okay.
Okay,
talking
go
about
ahead, before we go
characters,
into it.
because I was plotting it out as
Yes.
going from characters transitioning into the way fan service was done.
Yeah, 'cause-
But I have one more point about the negatives of the character development of this
You got
movie,
yeah.
which was that I think that part of the problem, which was I said before, we'll get back to talking about Saw Gerrera and Galen Erso, was that this movie relied, I think, too heavily on developing their characters in Star Wars Rebels. Because much of the marketing and a lot of the interviews they were doing ahead of the movie was saying, well, watch Star Wars Rebels and
Oh
you'll
yeah,
find out more
wasn't
about this character.
Forrest Whitaker's character like in
Yeah,
Star
Saw
Wars
Gerrera.
Rebels?
Yeah.
So I think part of it was that they were just like, and they kept saying, they're like, oh yeah, this is going to show up. And there were different things from the show that appeared in the movie. So it was very, and through a lot of the interviews, the filmmakers were saying, well, don't forget to watch Star Wars Rebels. So it was like, you have to be caught up on the show to watch it. You can't just watch
It's
it.
like-
Don't forget to drink your Ovaltine. Like,
I find that lazy because that's kind of like, well,
Oh,
hey,
it
there's
is.
this, it's kind of like when in X-Men 3, they just said like, what happened to Nightcrawler? Oh, he just left the team.
I don't know, go play the fucking game.
Go play the video game and find out. I'm like,
But that's
just
why
tell
I
me
say
now. It's like a one-answer question.
it's one of the negatives because he was very developed and I knew he was in the show, but I didn't expect them to do that. So
yeah,
when he showed up in the movie, I was like, okay, like the first, up until the point we see him, they keep talking. It's like every sentence, his name is in it.
Yeah.
Saw Gerrera. I know Saw Gerrera. Saw Gerrera sent me. Galen Erso sent me. And between the two of them, so you go, and it's like, all right, there's Saw Gerrera, and he's dead.
Yeah,
Yeah, like, the only thing I
he does the
remember
Star
about-
Wars equivalent of fucking Pa Kent and Man of Steel. Just no, run.
You know,
Why run? But you're an important character. But I don't want to run anymore.
Like, yeah, because
That's
like, there's a
fucking
lot of
stupid.
build up to him, and then he just shows up. He's like, "Here, I got this thing for your dad. Fuck off, bye." And I'm like, "Okay, that's just it. You just get Forrest Whitaker with his fake robot leg, his flash drive, and his weird fucking tentacle mind control monster that's just randomly fucking there. I know it's Star Wars, but still, like, can we talk about that? There's a random fucking like it'll rape your mind monster." In the cabin. Why does he have that? Who is this person? I don't fucking know. I'm not gonna go watch fucking Star Wars Rebels just to know these answers. If the movie can't give me those answers, I don't really care. I didn't need to see like all the other movies to know Darth Vader's the bad guy and I should be afraid of him.
Right.
And I think it's kind of like ridiculous to expect your fan base to do all of this homework before you go. Like, don't get me wrong, I hear Rebels is a great show. I haven't
Oh, yeah.
seen it myself,
It's
but
fine.
I hear it's great. But my thing is just like, as a casual fan of Star Wars,
I don't want to drop $12 on a movie ticket, or however much you'd pay at the time. It's a good chunk of money. I don't want to drop that money, go in there, and then have someone tell me, well, you'd get more out of this experience if you would have watched like 3 seasons of television
Yeah, because like
before
when
you
I
got
came into
here.
this one, I thought it was just a prequel to A New Hope, and I'm like, okay, that's all I'm expecting. It's a prequel to New Hope. I didn't think they were gonna add elements from Rebels in there, and like I came in lost because I didn't watch that fucking season. I'm like, who the fuck is this dude?
But I mean, there's still an entire set of stories, even if they are, poorly written and made, as, the prequel trilogy. I can't even think of like a just terrible thing to call it and point out, be like, because it sucks!
You can just call him shit.
But-
That's what everyone else does on the internet. Just call him shit.
Well, because I was going to make the joke, because I said to Shane yesterday, I said, you know what we should watch? The greatest Star Wars movie ever made. Attack of the Clones. And I
thought that
wanted
was the
to
Phantom
vomit. Oh, Attack of the Clones was like
Attack of the
worst
Clones is way worse. Like, that's the worst one, dude.
one.
Phantom Menace at least had Darth Maul for a little while.
I'd have to,
And Liam Neeson.
as
Fair.
bad as this is, I might have to rewatch Attack of the Clones just to see if that thing, because I
own
I
it.
barely remember that fucking movie.
As sad as it is to say, I own it. We can watch it.
Anyway, so there is this entire existence before it, so you do have to acknowledge the fact that it's sort of in the middle of these two very important stories, and that there's other things surrounding it, filling up that gap between, the moment that Anakin becomes Darth Vader, and then when Luke, gets dragged into this adventure, and
Yeah.
you meet all of these characters, where it all began.
Right.
But you're right, it shouldn't have to be that you have to rely on all of that, including all of that going into it.
In order to get like the bigger picture of the thing.
Right.
And that's my main complaint, because I'm already not really digging most of these characters, and it's not that I hate them, it's just I'm not really, there's not much for me to like latch onto. They're just kind of there progressing the story.
Right.
Nothing more, nothing less, and that's just kind of,
Yeah. And I think that is where a lot of the audience of this movie were people who were casual viewers. Because, of course, the Star Wars, there's so many Star Wars fans out there, people who are obsessed about Star Wars, like myself, it's... But I think at, earning $1 billion, that wasn't all the Star Wars nerds giving their $1 billion over, you
Yeah,
know.
obviously not. I don't think all the Star Wars nerds are handing over $1 billion for it.
Well, you know what I mean. As a whole.
God, I'm telling like 8 different fan bases to fuck off during the course of this podcast.
Pretty
This has
much.
mostly just been you two talking and me just kind of going,
'Cause
And
I
I think
mean-
most people hate me by the end of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are plenty of Star Wars fans out there who just spend all their money collecting Star Wars stuff. So, I mean, it's not that nobody has the means.
I mean, there's people who still collect the prequel stuff and they know it's shit, but they'll still collect it because
It's Star Wars. That's part of why I'm still kind of like, maybe I will get some Rogue One stuff, where I'm like, not as invested in the characters, but
Yeah, like
they're part of Star Wars.
I think like the other issue for me is like I know we did bring this up, was like the fan service.
Yes.
Dude.
Yeah, I was just
Now,
about to say,
like,
Dude,
it's-
yeah.
The thing was, I knew Darth Vader was going to be the film. I was okay with that. I was like, fine, okay.
The fact that James Earl Jones came back to be Vader made it for me, though.
Yeah, and they even gave him they designed his costume specifically to look like the way it looked like back in 1977.
Right.
Like to the point where it's like they even kind of made it look a little bit like a cheap 70s costume.
Mm-hmm.
That
Which
was
is
like a
pretty
nice
cool.
touch. I was a little surprised to see Peter Cushing's totally dead ass show up in the movie.
See, okay. So again,
And
this is part of where I think it's a fan service, but it's fan service for like like Star Wars, like people who are very invested in it.
Right.
Because I was like, oh, cool, Darth Vader, but I mean, I knew that coming in. And when Princess Leia shows up at the end, other than Han Solo, she's my other favorite character. But I was more excited about General Tarkin. I was just went, oh my god! Like, I didn't know about that.
yeah, I mean, I didn't have a problem with them doing General Tarkin. I was going to be like a little bit like, how are they going to do that? And I actually would have preferred him to be the main villain than that other fucking dude who was there.
That dude who I don't remember who it
But like,
was.
there's a fine line between like, I think it's the effect of it where they're still in this weird period where they can sometimes do this weird aging CGI thing,
Right.
and
Or just
sometimes
general.
they can't. Like, there's some frames in the movie where it's like, where General Tarkin's in shadow, and you're like, huh, that actually looks like Peter Cushing. Then he's out in the open, it's like, nope, that is definitely
It's always
not
when
him.
he was
That
in the
is-
light.
Yeah, it's always
I-
him in the light, or it's like Carrie Fisher in the light. I'm like, that is totally not them.
Yeah.
I have an idea.
That one was bad.
I have an idea. We get Peter Cushing's and is it Cushing or Cushing's?
Cushing.
Cushing.
Cushing. I'm so bad with names.
Sorry,
We-
Peter Cushing fans. This is just not your
People
day.
shades pissed off today. Okay, so we get creepy CGI Peter Cushing and Carrie Fisher. We get creepy CGI Jeff Bridges from Tron Legacy. We get Tom Hanks from the Polar Express, and we make a band, and they open up for Tupac's hologram.
There we go. Yeah, there we go.
I was
And
gonna
then
say,
the
you gotta
fucking-
Or
throw
the
in-
Dio one. The Dio
Yeah,
one.
and then the dudes who get their arms cut off by Ben Kenobi on Tatooine show up just to be like,
From the cantina. I thought that was good. I really liked that they were there, and I was just like,
it was
I
weird
just
to
looked
see
at
them,
my
so, like,
dad.
oh.
I was like,
Although, like, I gotta say, like, they rushed off that planet pretty fucking fast,
Yeah.
considering, like, what happens in between the movies.
true. For me, though, one of the cameos that I was happiest about, and this is a character that's shown up in a lot of the movies, but it was just nice to see this person again, was Mon Mothma. Because she was, when I was a kid, I remember seeing her in Return of the Jedi and being like, man, she looks cool. Like, I want to know more about her. And I mean, and this was, I remember thinking this, seeing her, and feeling that before even the prequel trilogy was released. So, you know, she only showed up that one time, and I was like, oh, she looks really important. She looks cool. Like, what's her deal? So, you know, she showed up in plenty in the extended universe, but it was still just nice to kind of have her back and see some more of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, I thought the fan service was, I thought it was better than in the prequel trilogy, which is part of why I think this was what the prequel trilogy wanted to be. Where it tied in nicely with the other things, with the other stories in the Star Wars universe, but you could still have these original characters. But I think if you took the character development that was done in the prequel trilogy and combined that with everything else in this movie, within Rogue One, the cinematography and the obviously advanced CGI, it's not really their fault that it didn't work as well in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, it's great as long as you don't look at it in the light.
Yeah. I mean, that's, like I said, they still haven't gotten there. Like, they're slowly getting there, but they haven't gotten there yet with
Yeah.
the technology.
That's why I thought, like I said before, the Peter Cushing, General Tarkin, when he first showed up, when he's just in the shadow, you don't really, you know, it looked seamless. I was like, that's great. I thought it looked awesome. And especially when a couple of days later we went to see Beauty and the Beast, and like, I was like, were they even trying? Because I'm sorely tempted to compare a lot of this to Beauty and the Beast, just like the aspects of character development and answering questions that might have been had before. And the CGI.
Yeah.
Take all of the above, mash it together, maybe there's something good.
Right? Like, I think, like, in conclusion, like, and just in general, like, I think there's really isn't, like, a definitive answer, like, whether anyone's gonna love or hate Rogue One. It's really one of those ones where I will say, as far as, like, Star Wars prequels, it is easily the most competent. But I think, like, the biggest takeaway for me is, like, I could really give a shit if there's Jedis in the Boba Fett movie, or if there's a fucking Sith in the goddamn Han Solo movie. What I want to take from it is, if they're gonna, like, because it's kind of weird, because this is the only movie where they're gonna do that, where, like, they're gonna make new characters, because, like, the other movies are gonna be, like, based on characters everyone already knows.
Yeah.
So, like, I kind of wish they did something with that, where they took these new characters and made them interesting, and I could care about, and maybe want to see more of, or do these kind of things. Or, like, when they die, like, you know, be like, holy shit, they just killed my favorite guy. And going forward, I think the best thing like Disney can do is like, keep the good effects and the direction and all these other things. That's fine. Just tighten your scripts to make sure like people give a shit a little bit better.
Right, tidy up, do a little housekeeping, and
Like
everything will be fine.
don't be afraid to add like a little bit of something that interests this character. If there's a reason that like ask why is this character here besides plot. If this character isn't here for just plot reasons, maybe you can write it out and do something else. Because that's really the only thing I have with it. Is that for me, like I know people say The Force Awakens was a weak movie because of the story, and I do agree with that. But I feel like the characters compensated that for me.
I
Yeah.
agree
The
for
new
sure.
characters
Absolutely.
compensated that and got me into it. I was interested in Kylo Ren, Finn, and even Rey. And I know people are like, oh, Rey's a Mary Sue, but I actually found her journey fucking fun. I found it interesting. I got into them. And when one of them got like severely hurt, I was like, holy shit, no. Or when one of them succeeded, I'm like, yeah. And I lacked the emotional response that this movie wanted me to have. And that's just a problem that I think really that these other films can do.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's all the points that we were really looking to make. As we said, Rogue One coming out. What's it today? This is the first. So,
Probably by the time this thing gets out, it'll already be
Tuesday.
out in like 3 weeks
So
or
what, the
something.
So the 4th,
I
right?
think so, yeah.
Yeah. So well, close enough. April 4th.
Yep. But in your time, dear listeners, just head on out to Walmart. It's there already. You probably already have it, but
Oh god, now people think that we really are sponsored by
Yeah.
Disney.
Sponsored by Walmart and Disney, and go to Borders. Go
they have it at Borders.
go to Borders. Go to Dress Barn.
now they're really gonna start coming in the board like, I fucking knew it. That's why you didn't like Suicide Squad, you son of a bitches.
I didn't like Suicide Squad because it was a fucking shitty movie.
And they
I
didn't
like
give us a better
Borders.
check. I mean, yeah, it was a shitty movie.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed this recent session of having a photon torpedo of awesome blasted into your ear holes, then feed the two-headed beast that is Planet Buster by following us on social media. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and check out our own personal website where we have all kinds of podcast episodes and blogs for you to enjoy. Also, don't forget to check out our friend Brody Milne at his SoundCloud. He's the cool dude who made our sweet theme song. It's pretty awesome. Until next time, see you, space travelers.